Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 9 of the Envy Simsports International Sports Car Challenge, very kindly sponsored by WBM Racing. We build memories. My name is Daniel Zippy Salmon, and joining me in the commentary booth today is going to be the one and only Rob, the Goatee Campbell, working the production controls and doing a little bit of commentary as well. I've got to say, Rob, you know exactly how I'm going to feel about this track. It is indeed high on the Princess Approved list, and I certainly know it is not on yours. Definitely not one of your favorite tracks. I think the word you use is overrated. In fact, as we also have a special co-host today who has 4 legs and a tail. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Campbell, presenting right behind us a cute, adorable doggy there.
It's
Who's now camera shy.
it's marshmallow in the flesh or in the fur, I guess. But yeah, it's Spa. I don't know, I have a love-hate relationship with Spa Zippy. I like the track. The racing there generally tends to not favor me. I always seem to get wrapped up in some kind of Muppet business, so that's why it's not on my Princess Approved list to steal something from you.
Well, certainly I do understand, and I'm actually started doing a little bit of preparation for the Spa 24-hour, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, if you want to see me sucking a race car, that's going to be coming to you in July. But I got to say, it's definitely high on my list. And as we have a look, probably we should take a look at actually where we've been and where indeed we are going to go, Rob. Certainly, we're on round 9, and we started at the best track on the planet, ladies and gentlemen, Road Atlanta. That is a fact, not an opinion. You can get over that in your own due time. Sebring was round 2 with another good track of round 3 for Daytona before taking us over to Watkins Glen. I know Rob in particular is looking forward to heading there. Round 5 we took us to Hockenheim with round 6, the very historical track of Le Mans on April 17th. As we have a look at round 7, Road America, Suzuka round 8, and then brings us to today for round 9 with Aragon, Imola, and Fuji closing out the series at the end of May. But Rob, we should probably take a look at some championship points as well. Let's see how it's shaping up firstly in the LMP Hybrid, the GTP field, with Alberto Alvarez currently in the lead on 165 points. Morgan Smith, a little bit of a jammy dodger there. He's managed to snake second, only 10 points ahead of Ethan Reed in third. And Jordan Brasfar, definitely surprised not to see him back. Very, very potent as long as the track suits him. I certainly relate to that. He's down 4th with Parker Dime in 5th. Wyatt Hudo closing out the top 6 with Tyler Watson missing yet again in 7th.
Yeah, and then we kick over to the GT3 standings where Michael Morbeto sitting up top of the standings. He's got 8 points over Daniel Pino. Malik Bass in 3rd place, 123 points. Pedro Luis da Silva in 4th. Kyra Mills rounding out the top 5. Javi Sierra in 6th. Chris Rise in 7th. Jakob Fury in 8th. Steve Susanna in 9th. And rounding out the top 10, we're going to see Brad Mueller. And then we'll quickly click through the rest of the drivers who have registered points so far. Zippy, 22 drivers have been on grid and registered points so far in this season.
Yeah, definitely not a bad turnout. I've got to say, Spa is looking as beautiful as ever. It's actually one of my dreams, Rob, that I can actually share on camera. One of my dreams is honestly to fly over to Belgium. I want to buy a car and literally tour some of the best driving roads across Europe, enjoy some good food. None of this snail garbage. I'm not into that, but some, some good, hearty, wholesome food. Taking the best driving roads. Obviously, drive Spa because why wouldn't you? The ring's kind of on that list, as it looks like we've got a very serious time change here.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the light's gone out, I'll put it like that. And then actually drive back to the UK and tour the Highlands of Scotland, ladies and gentlemen. That's one of my dreams. And then ship the car back to Canada as well, just to really, send it home. But we should probably take a look at this it's very picturesque grid, I'll give you that. But Alberto Alvarez is going to be dashing away into the sunlight. That almost sounds a little bit romantic when you put it like that. Certainly, Alberto, not quite my flavour, ladies and gentlemen, but hey, you never know. Ethan Reed there in 2nd with Morgan Smith, the New Yorker, there in 3rd. As we have a look at the GT3 field with Pedro da Silva, he's there on the top spot. Daniel Pino in 2nd. Michael Morbeto, one of the new WBM Racing recruits, he's there in 3rd, alongside teammate Malik Bass in 4th. Jakob Fury, actually good qualifying for him today. He's in 5th with Kyle the Bold Eagle Machine in 6th. We do have to keep an eye out for his paint as well. Rob. Guillermo Perez is in 7th with Javi Sierra closing out the top 8.
And then Patrick Rich is going to start 9th. Chris Rise rounding out the top 10 in GT3. Bell Gable in 11th. Frank Manarino in 12th. Bernardo Drogmuller in 13th. And Joseph Kronk going to round out the field. So I'm not sure, Zippy, if we're running in sunset or sunrise here. But yeah, as you mentioned, the conditions have drastically changed here. Looks like it's going to be 2048. That's 8. We're at deep into the sunset here in the PM hours at Spa.
Well, it will indeed make for a cooler track temperature, but it's maybe a little bit challenging in some ways to actually see some of these cars. Very picturesque, very beautiful, but this does add another variable, and I don't believe that Spa is a fully lit track all the way around. Oh, there we go, a little bit of a session change there. Rob, can you pop that clock back up again a second there, or is that
I
something on
most
your end?
certainly can here. Zippy, there you go.
Interesting. So some very interesting weather indeed. Obviously, the sun was behind the clouds, or somebody had indeed put a rather large moon in front of it. We'll go with that, and you guys can have some fun. I'm trying to think. Maybe Beyonce's booty has indeed taken off. Maybe the Kardashians had a little bit of helium there in the back end there, and it just happened to take flight. It's hard to say, ladies and gentlemen, but certainly, it's going to be a fun race indeed. A little bit of a smaller field today. Certainly, we know we've got a couple of drivers missing. Some we understand why. Others we're not so sure. Certainly, Tyler Watson. He was all keen, all motivated, and then he has disappeared off the face of the planet. A couple of other GT3 drivers missing as well. I believe. There was one that got in an incident and literally checked out from that point. So honestly, a little bit poor sportsmanship, I'd say, on that avenue. But certainly, I think the biggest thing about any league, ladies and gentlemen, and it's universal, is it is absolutely nothing without its drivers.
Yeah, you can't have much action if you got nobody on track driving, Zippy. But we've had, I think we had more or less the same amount of drivers last week in the GTP field. I think we only had 3 drivers. And Ethan Reed and Morgan Smith put on a show to the very end. They battled down to the wire. So I suspect that they'll have the same kind of strategy here again this week, trying to stick with each other. Alberto Alvarez has been a little bit quicker than them most of the season. So I suspect he'll pull out ahead of those other 2 cars. But I suspect Ethan Reed and Morgan Smith might take it down to the wire.
Well, not only that, Ethan Reed has indeed gone and joined WBM We Build Memories. So don't get me wrong, the paint may still be an old one right now, but he has indeed joined the crew. Certainly seems to be fitting in quite well there. As these guys are getting ready to go, there is indeed a start sign, Rob. I'll be honest, I didn't look at it, but certainly the go on green is not how it works here at Envy Simsports. So we're going to see these guys holding back. You see Mo's going to be at the back of that grid there. Beautiful little formation, and we're going to get ready to go. Still not yet. The suspense is killing me. I'm ready to cheese this thing.
Bit of an Air Force formation there, Zippy, as they head across the start-finish line. I think we're actually using the start-finish on the front straight here. So La Source actually won't be turn 1 tonight. And there they kick around that corner, and they should be getting green here very shortly.
Oh, absolutely. And certainly, it does actually throw people off a little bit when they switch it around. Certainly, I was in a session the other day as it looks like we're getting ready to go. And yep, that's definitely an increase in pace there as these guys are going to go side by side through Rouge. I got to say, cold tires, I definitely wouldn't be keen on that, but it looks like they managed to get through. But I do suspect there's going to be a slowdown there for Ethan Reed, and I can already see back in the GT3 field, it looks like things have indeed been happening. Guillermo Pereira, he's dropped that down 6 positions, Bell Gable's down 3 positions, and Patrick Rich is telling me has gained 8 positions. Something doesn't sound right there. That sounds like an absolutely incredible jump start. Certainly one that Tyler Watson could indeed approve of.
Yeah, it's the Tyler Watson definite.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
That's definitely a Tyler Watson approved jump start, but we'll have to see what happened there. I'm wondering if Patrick Rich forgot about the start zone, Zippy, and just when the lights went green, he went. But we'll see if I'll take a quick look here to see if I can go back in and see where he passed everybody. I think we might have it here quickly. We'll see Patrick Rich, the Mustang on the far side. There it goes. He dives around Kyle Mills and off he goes. I think the GT3 field totally forgot about the start zone because they started on the traditional start-finish line.
Well, we know how that's going to end, ladies and gentlemen. And certainly it's going to involve some post-race penalties. Certainly the drivers are this week aware that they do indeed have to stop for fuel. Certainly it's been a colourful, heated discussion. But I believe something has happened with the WBM success story of Malik Bass in that 191 Corvette. Let's have a quick look at the replay if we can, Rob, and see exactly what happened. Gets a little bit of curb there. You can see already a bit of sand kicked up. And that just looks like maybe a little bit of a nudge from behind, maybe a little bit of cold tires. Might have to take that from another camera angle there, Rob. Certainly, I think he's gotten away with it overall, but he is now 2.9 seconds back after the last car in the GT3 field, which is Joseph Kronk in that 166 machine. Here's another shot of it. Rob, walk us through.
Yeah, it looked like he just got up too much up on the curb. Zippy possibly bottomed out the Corvette as it tends to run a very low ride height compared to a lot of the other GT3s, and cold tires pressure not really up on them yet. It's going to be sitting a little lower, bottomed out, flat spinned. But fortunately for him, nobody collected him up and no walls hit. So just time and positions lost on that one.
Well, certainly I can relate, but it looks like the GT3 battle is indeed continuing as well. Daniel Pino up in the top spot right now. He's got one position himself gained over Pedro Silva. Patrick Rich up 6. Certainly, I don't think he's realised yet the error of his ways as Michael Morbedo goes to put a move in on the inside, applying a good bit of pressure. Now, Morbedo, we've seen, has had some incredibly good talent here. Did get very unlucky last week, and certainly a car that had already got damaged. Got a little bit loose from what I remember and absolutely murdered the guy. It was definitely not the result he was looking for, but Morbedo's smart enough to back out of it, not try to go side by side during a route. Certainly you can, but it's not suggesting you're much better off to go and draft the car behind, which is exactly what he's doing. He's right behind the 666 Mustang of Patrick Rich.
He's going to make a move at the top of the Kemmel straight, but Rich is going to have the inside for the next corner. But Morbedo, if he can stay side by side, Zippy, he'll have the preferred line. Looks like that power of the Mustang able to shoot back ahead of the Porsche. This definitely isn't going to be a track where the Porsche is really all that favored. It's a little low on top speed compared to a car like the Mustang or the Mercedes out front, and even the McLaren of Jakob Fury. But you mentioned in qualifying earlier, Jakob Fury finally put in a half-decent qualifying start towards the top end of the field. So it's interesting to see if he can use his race pace he usually shows to get towards the top end, the sharp end of the field.
Well, certainly, I've got a lot of confidence in him, but look who is right behind him, Rob. It is the bald eagle machine of Kyle Mills in that 305. Now, I do understand he's rocking a new paint, and oh, yeah, he definitely delivered the Star Spangled Banner. I got a feeling his shreddies may indeed be matching, ladies and gentlemen. If not, he is wearing a massive cape right behind him. Hopefully he doesn't get it caught in that wing or indeed the exhaust pipe, but certainly I'm loving the sense of humor there. I do believe he's actually got the car labeled as well, but fantastic effort from Kyle Mills there, really spicing things up a bit. We build memories there written across the hood, WBM Racing sun visor. If I remember rightly, it's just along the top of the you might need a blimp cam for it, Rob. I don't know if it would get close up, maybe a heli cam. Just across the driver's door there, well, I say driver's door, the left side door there at the top. I could just about see it, but not enough I could read it.
See if I can find a little bit of a closer shot there, Zippy. Once they switch back around to the front straight, I think we'll probably pick them up from the other side here as they turn into La Source. But Kyle Mills putting a ton of pressure on Jakob Fury. Kyle the Bald Eagle Mills, it says. Nicely done. Fair play to Kyle.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, certainly if we roast you here on Pit Road Productions, it is our way of affection. And Kyle Mills did actually end up joining the commentary team, making his debut in front of about 1,400 people. No pressure there, certainly more than a lot of commentators on the sim will actually ever achieve. So fair play to him there. He's already breaking records. And ones that are actually good to break, we see Chris Rice here applying a bit of pressure. He's not been able to move forward since the start, but certainly he's looking to change that right now against Frank Manarino. It is Ferrari versus Porsche. Chris Rice currently ahead, but he's going to be on the outside into the right-hander. Certainly, I do love Spa. It does encourage overtaking opportunities. You can see that right up on the curb, and he's been able to make it stick.
Yeah, nice move by Chris Rice in the Porsche, able to leapfrog the Ferrari, but right in behind them, we got Bernardo Drogmiller. He didn't really qualify all that well, but we saw last week he had some decent pace, was able to move up through the field. It's be interesting to see he's able to utilize the top speed of that Acura to try and move up through the field. But just behind him, we've got Malik Bass on his on his recovery from that spin early on. It'll be interesting to see how quickly he can move up through the field. He had the pace, was up 8 spots from where he is right now, so it'll be interesting to see if he can quickly dispose of Drogmiller, Manarino, and Chris Rice just up ahead of him.
Well, certainly we got a comment here from one of our producing staff, actually our commentary staff. Even he's not in production yet, but he's gonna be, ladies and gentlemen. He's been briefed. But Richard Swindell's, one of those lights are gonna burn out from all the razzle dazzle he's been giving Rich for his jump start. I'm gonna agree with that. Certainly, the bulb be burning, ladies and gentlemen. And don't get me wrong, I don't think it's a full 60 watts at this point or 100 watts. It may have been a 5-watt start, but I definitely understand the mentality of why he's done it. But we've been through this before, certainly with this series. It's so important that you read the league rules. You have to understand what's going on, because you could have what you feel is the best race start ever, but if you don't read the rules, you can find very quickly turns away. But we see here Ethan Reed having a battle here with Morgan Smith for the LMP hybrids there. Nice little bit of mood lighting actually going on the Morgan Smith's car. Very ambient, very almost seductive at that point. Don't get me wrong, he's going a bit too fast, a bit too high speed that I wouldn't want to play. Certainly, I don't think there's a passenger seat. And I don't think I'd really want to be dancing on the wing of one of these cars. But certainly, he's given Ethan Reed a good helping of pressure there as those battles continuing back in the GT3 field, starting with Chris Rise in P9.
Now, I'm wondering if Morgan Smith be playing a little Barry White Zippy, or if he'd option for maybe a little Michael Bublé as music as he's trying to chase down Ethan Reed.
I just haven't passed you yet. Well, I don't know if you guys understood that, but certainly Rob did, and when he's finished face palming, I believe he's going to carry on.
Yeah, we'll let you have it for now, but we got a lead change up front of the GT3 field, Zippy, as Pedro da Silva's gotten around Daniel Pino. Now, we know from races past, Pino likes to try and feel safe, so I believe this was probably a strategy move by Pino to let da Silva by and try and tuck in behind him and save some fuel. So we'll see how that plays out, but Michael Morbato behind them is pushing. I was almost gonna say something I probably shouldn't say, Zippy, but he's pushing like all hell in behind to try and chase down those two cars up ahead. I might have to eat my words here. I said the Porsche probably wouldn't be all that great here, but Morbato is showing me I could be wrong.
That's because Morbato has indeed a good helping of driving talent, at least certainly looking at the results he's been able to demonstrate that. I haven't seen you in the Porsche, Rob. It's up for debate, but by all means, let me know in the production chat what is it that you were trying not to say. But certainly some good battles indeed happening throughout. And I do have to think as well, both Pedro da Silva and Daniel Pino, both very, very good at saving fuel. Certainly, if it was a drinking contest, they would not be my favourite choice. Certainly not able to really chug that fuel. More of a very gentle sip, very very dignified, very civilized as well. But let's have a quick look at the replay here of Kyle Mills.
Yeah, Kyle Mills is going to make a move on Jakob Ferry. Looks like a little bit of a connection issue for Jakob, but he goes wide to the inside, almost like Jakob sensed that, or possibly serving a slowdown. That's going to allow Kyle Mills to get the Bald Eagle machine up into 8th spot, up 1 spot on the day.
Yeah, that is good stuff. And I've got to say, I'm loving just how outrageous the personality is from Kyle Mills. As we got another replay here, it's Chris Rise, and I believe they're heading into the final chicane there. Certainly, it can be hard to get the car slowed down. Some couple of different lines you can take through there, as he has already taken to the pits. That is that's quite the undercut, Rob.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out, but I'm showing him still in the pits as it is right now, Zippy, so we'll have to see if it was a technical issue he pulled in for, or if it was, as you mentioned, a massive undercut. But he did leave you a message in the chat for the stream here earlier, Zippy. I'm not sure exactly what he was saying. You might have to throw it into Google Translate, but Jakob Ferry just used the draft to get back around Kyle Mills.
Well, you absolutely read my mind. I am going to start putting that into Google Translate, and we'll see if I can indeed. It doesn't help. I'm guessing it's Belgian. Looking at that, he does like to pull out it. Okay, from what I see, it's picked up as Dutch. Belgium and the beautiful Ardennes. Have a nice race and enjoy the chocolate. Well, Chris Rice, I would enjoy the chocolate, but you didn't send me any. But that's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I am partial to what's called a Kinder Bueno, especially in the white chocolate variety. And Kinder, if you'd like to sponsor this channel, by all means, just send me a box of those and we'll call it even.
Kinder Bueno. You know who eats those, Zippy? Children. So I'm not surprised that you... I'm not surprised you're a big fan of them. But say our closest battle on track is still this battle between Ferry Mills, and look like Javi Sierra has joined the party here now, as he's tucked in on the back of Kyle Mills. So a little bit of swapping between Ferry and Mills has allowed Javi Sierra to pull up into this battle with Corvette. So 3 different manufacturers. We got a McLaren leading the way, the Mustang in between, and a Corvette in behind. So we'll be able to see which car really seems to excel better here at Spa right now. Looks like the McLaren, one of your favorites there, Zippy. The British car able to pull away from the 2 American-made V8s.
Well, certainly I am definitely very patriotic when it comes to our car culture, but I do have a feeling that Javi Sierra was also involved in potentially a jump start scenario. I did see himself as well having a bit of a lunge at the start. Maybe we'll have a quick look at that whenever you get a chance there, Rob. But right now, this battle does indeed continue. At the front of it, you got your Cal Fury in an absolutely gorgeous fire-breathing McLaren. Kaya Mills in the Bold Eagle machine, fair play to him in the Mustang with Javi Sierra coming up the third of that pack. But you can see just behind him as well, Guillermo Perez looking to try and join that battle, currently 3.1 seconds back.
Yeah, Perez sneaking up on this one. I think I might have found here where Javi Sierra got jumped at the start here. Let's see if this is it here, Zippy, as they're in pace line. Actually, it looks like that's before the green, so I'll have to keep looking here to see if I can find out where.
That's okay, we can stay with it. That's
where
fine.
that went here. I think this was a little further along. Still waiting for the green flag. That's still further on in the pace lap. I'll keep looking to see if I can find it.
Well, in the meantime, I can tell you that Frank Manarino has been given a black flag. Now, just knowing Spa as I do, I have a feeling that he's probably gone and got a little bit carried away going through Rouge, and the stewards have not approved of that line. Don't get me wrong, I do, but the stewards not quite as generous as I am. And he's going to end up having to serve that penalty there. As here we go, we can see the start for the 999 Javi Sierra. There you go. He's out as well.
Yeah, he followed Patrick Rich when he balked at the green too as well, so the two of them a little bit of a follow the leader there, monkey see monkey do, I guess, in that scenario, Zippy. But I sure suspect what we've seen from ruling so far in this season that both of them are probably going to get feel the heavy swath of the penalty hammer on this one.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a tough call. Like, what do you do if the whole field ends up going? You can't penalise the whole field, so it's one of those things. Once a couple of people go, basically, realistically, you're all gonna go, and certainly. It's one of those things that sometimes actually having less rules or making it as simple as possible can indeed be the most beneficial approach. Myself, well, actually, Rob, you can probably think about this. You're an older gentleman. Sorry, buddy, but I'm going to pick on that experience right now. In racing, can you think of some examples where the best wins have come from being able to manipulate and exploit that rule book?
Basically, if you're not trying to exploit the rules, Zippy, you're not trying hard enough to win. That's pretty much what any champion will tell you in any racing league, in any racing series around the world.
Exactly. Certainly, I'm thinking of actually the Ford Focus WRC car had a limiter, and they actually had hiding a reservoir tank or something in the rear bumper, which I thought was absolutely fascinating. And honestly, stuff like that I find greatly amusing, albeit slightly unethical. But don't get me wrong, that is what it is. But it looks like we're catching back up here with Morgan Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the leader of WBM, We Build Memories, and absolutely check out their merch store. You see the red and black that's on Morgan's car. Actually, he switched it out. It was green and black last week. We had the red and black here on Morgan's car, and indeed on a good couple of WBM cars. Well, you can get, they've got jerseys, they've got hoodies, they've got sweatpants, you've got flags. They have all sorts of merch, and it is high quality merch at that, with those patterns on it. And ladies and gentlemen, what do they do with the funds they raise from that? Well, not a lot. They put it right back into the team and help run events like this. So if you want to help support WBM, certainly I know I want to, get in on some of that merch. We will try and get some pictures. Actually, Austin Diltz, I see you there in the chat. If you would like to model your WBM gear, put the baby down for a minute. We'd love to show it up on stream.
Yeah, we all know anybody's watching these broadcasts all throughout the season. Zippy's been routinely trying to get the WBM guys to model for him. I don't know what kind of fetish he's got with the WBM race car drivers, but he's definitely been chasing them down off season. Just a word of the wise, Austin. Word of the wise.
Well, I'm going to type something in the production chat that I'm not going to say on stream, but certainly you're going to hear my producer just start wetting himself. Yeah, we can't say that on stream, but certainly we thought of a new acronym for WBM, and certainly we'll tell those guys later, having a good bit of fun. But good news is I can tell you that Frank Manarino has indeed cleared that black flag as we're looking at this battle. Currently going back a little bit further there. See Manarino there on his own, but Kyle Mills, very much these guys have spread out a little bit there. Javi Sierra looked to try and apply a little bit of pressure earlier on, not able to get the move done. And actually, as we have a look right now, so Patrick Rich is currently the hard charger with 5 spots gained. However, a controversial start. Certainly, I think it was pretty clear that he absolutely slingshotted the thing at the start, and I don't think he was in the starting area either. I will check the Discord for the ruling on that, but if you take that out of the picture, actually it's the number 93 car, Banana Druckmuller. He's currently up 4 spots.
Yeah, I mentioned that early on that Bernardo showed some quick pace during the race last week, so not surprising to see him up 4 spots. Joseph Kronk as well, just behind Drogmiller, up 4 spots too as well. Unfortunately, Guillermo Perez, Chris Rise, Bel Gable, and Frank Manarino have had to sacrifice their positions for Kronk and Drogmiller to pick up those positions. But I'm trying to think
Well,
back, Zippy, as I quickly look through here the Discord rulings to see what happened to Tyler Watson when he got that jump start penalty. Was he disqualified from the race, or was it points or positions? Do you remember?
I'm honestly not too sure. I've actually just found the post here for the start zone. I'd actually quite like to. I'll send you this here in a second. Just check your production chat. Maybe we can get this on screen and we'll do our own little bit of adjudicating here to see if indeed Patrick Rich was in that start zone, because I have a feeling he was early, but not by as much as we might have necessarily thought. Rob, we can see that on the production feed, by the way. There we go. But you can say indeed it's. Oh dear. You can say indeed it's been a very colourful series so far. And as actually we keep a quick eye here on the lead as well. Pedro da Silva still leading Daniel Pino, but I have a feeling that's just Pino looking to try and save some fuel.
Yeah, he's a bit of a fuel siphoner, Zippy. So we'll see how it plays out. He now knows that he needs to pit, unlike last week. So it'll be interesting to see how Pino plays that strategy, if he just continues to push it all race knowing that he has to pit, or if he's just going to keep trying to save some fuel to try and minimize this pit stop. I don't think I ever got clarification. I actually asked in the chat last week, what technically do they consider a pit stop? Can they just drive through? Do they have to pull into the stall and stop and go, or do they need to be in there for a certain period of time? I don't think anybody answered that question.
I do know that you have to take fuel. That certainly seems to be the pattern that we managed to work out from that. But we're going to let that one die on its own hill for the minute. Something's been controversial, as it looks like Kyle Mills and Javi Sierra have got even closer as well. Very, very close. And Javi Sierra looking to apply some pressure here to the Boulder Eagle machine. Certainly that thing is still looking to fly. But for how long? Certainly Eagle's not known for their incredible speed, but certainly still a very fierce predator nonetheless.
No doubt. There we go, Zippy. I've got the start zone information up on screen, so we can take a quick look at that and kind of get an idea of where it was. Looks like that actually looks like the GT3s might have started in the correct area to me, because that looks like it's in between the traditional start-finish line where our GTP cars waited until they were all the way around to the, I guess it would be called the endurance start-finish line. So there might not be any penalties. It looks like the GT3s actually started where they should be, if I'm reading that correctly.
I'm just having a quick read of this, and I honestly don't get why we've got two sets of lines when we're just seeing it from two different perspectives. But certainly, you know what? The best thing about all of this is we're not here to be stewards, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, if you want to see a steward, I personally enjoy watching Jimmy Broadbent for Sim Racing Stewards, because he just has such a way with words on that. Don't get me wrong, we want you to watch here at Pit Road Productions, but when we're not live, by all means, watch some Jimmer.
Yeah, the Sim Racing Stewards is always good for a cackle or two and passing your time. It's almost baffling how some of the questions need to be asked. Who was at fault, Zippy? It's one of those things where common sense isn't so common.
Like one of those things where I all of a sudden feel better about my driving, but I wouldn't mind reviewing that start again if we can, Rob, just to see exactly. Maybe review it in slow motion, see if we can get a reference. Maybe indeed Patrick Rich has pulled off the absolute start of the century here. We'll have to have a look. It's going to be a tough one, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, you know, these lines are drawn out on the track, and let's see if we can get maybe a chase cam or something like that, because right now,
Yeah, they're in the start
I'd
zone.
say
To
that's
me.
pretty early.
Yeah. No, I'd say they're in the start zone. That looks like where we were looking at here, Zippy. I'll pop that back up here. That looks like that is exactly where they're supposed to be starting. As you can see the start-finish line on the top right picture, they're heading
Fair
towards.
play to him.
So I think he was probably just in. He might have just lucked into it, if anything. But I think they might be safe.
Well, certainly, you know what? If it is legit, I'm going to say hats off to you, Patrick Rich, in that 666 machine, and certainly Javi Sierra as well, as it looks like Malik Bass has just managed to make a pass on him. Javi Sierra coming into the pits.
Yeah, Javi Sierra going to be one of our undercut takers here too as well. But looks like they're actually utilizing the endurance pits as well. So they got to go all the way through the first pits, into the second pits, and then take their service. So it is a extended pit run here tonight, Zippy. That's definitely going to play into the fuel strategy too as well. But we see Daniel Pino, it looks like he might have abandoned his fuel strategy. He's starting to put a whole lot of pressure on the back of Pedro da Silva.
Well, certainly, I do have to wonder just how hard he's actually fighting. I have a feeling that Pino is looking purely to save fuel, as it looks like Jakob Fury has managed to pass Patrick Rich as well. Now Jakob Fury's gone off track, so something's going on a little bit further back in P4 as we see it go and check in on the battle. The Asian driver there, actually the only one in the field, and Kyle Mills at the back of that pack as well. So this is going to be very good for the Bold Eagle machine as Jakob Fury looks to go on the inside, the door very firmly shut. And Kyle Mills looking to try and make a move as well. It looks like they're going to be going 3 wide there. Certainly they thought about it. And you can see Malik Bass lurking in the background. The lights are on as Kyle Mills goes up on the inside there. Can he make it stick the whole time he tries? Patrick Rich pulling away.
Yeah, Jakob Fury, bit of a bald eagle sandwich here right now, Zippy. That British car, a little bit of the meat between the 2 slices of bread right now. So we'll see if Kyle Mills is able to find a way around Jakob Fury while they battle. That's allowing Patrick Rich to pull out ahead. But quick look here, what happened to Fury moments ago that's allowed this battle to continue. After he got around Patrick Rich, looks like a little bump from Rich, send him off into the kitty litter. Holds on to it though, manages to almost complete the pass back, but Rich had the inside line to take that position away.
Fair play to him. He's having quite a good night as long as he's got away with that start. From what Rob can see, it was actually the start of the century. But right now, he's under pressure from the Bold Eagle machine. Is Jakob Fury, and you got to wonder as well: is it it's a late dive? Is he going to be able to get the car slowed down? Almost makes contact there. I gotta say, it was definitely a swoop. Wasn't able to pay off, but it definitely got spicy there. Yeah, it's a good call, Rob. Let's have another look at that.
Yeah, Kyle Mills with deep into the braking zone. Oh, looks like that might have been a move under braking from Fury. Look, they moved from the inside to the outside there. So interesting to see how the stewards rule on that. But I'll see if I can queue up possibly maybe a chase cam of that to see. But it looked almost to me like the McLaren kind of moved from the inside to the outside. Here we go.
So you can see here carrying a lot of speed. He's there on the outside. I don't know how I would rule that one.
Yeah,
honestly,
gray area, I guess. A little bit of gray area.
Yeah. This is why we're not stewards, ladies and gentlemen. Leave it to Jimmer. But we're actually going to have to send him a link to this. Say, hey, Jimmer, we've been referencing you. Actually, speaking of Jimmy Broadbent, he was actually doing some time attack at my local home circuit of Cadwell Park the other day. I was watching that on a Monday of all times. I did not expect to see him there. And I was even more blown away to see his name on screen. So certainly some good stuff there. Running, what was it, Minty? I think the Minty, the Miata or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what he called his Miata. Yeah, Minty, I think. Here was Pino getting around De Silva on the straights. Now De Silva going to tuck in behind. And we'll see if he tries to save some fuel now behind Daniel Pino. So I think I'm firmly going to say that the fuel savings gone out the window for Daniel Pino. He's decided he's going to go up front, try and run this one out, as he knows he has to make the fuel stop this week before something happens to him as far as the ban hammers. But it looks like our leader Alberto Alvarez had an incident in GTP.
Yeah, it's just something that he came in the pits. I'm wondering if that's what it's going to flag. Certainly, it's about due time, but he goes through the chicane.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely taking that pit. I have to admit, a lot of these drivers coming over that white line, but none of them getting penalised for it, which honestly is good news. But I'm actually a little bit surprised. Certainly myself, not always a fan of the off-track limits, but I also feel in a lot of ways that, it gets too strict. Oh dear, that's Ethan Reed there, having a little bit of a moment as Ethan Reed goes, and he's going to get to lead lap now for the LMP hybrid class. But I do feel that sometimes adding too much rules can almost ruin racing in itself. Certainly, if you think about some racing series that are very, very highly televised, broadcast all across the world, it's known as the traveling circus. You almost feel at times that the stewards decide the race after.
Yeah, and that's why they've went through 3 different stewards in a number of years, Zippy. So they may be the most technologically advanced racing series in the world, but the rule book is up for interpretation every single race.
Yeah, certainly. Michael Massey is not going to be on my Christmas card list. The only thing that I would send him is something that my dog would produce at free will. Anyway, moving on. It's telling me that Alberto Alvarez may have crashed. I'm wondering if that's a pit warning there, or is that the same one you got, Rob?
That was what we saw for him entering the pits. For some reason, at Spa tends to throw those warnings. I think it's because they have to slow down so much for that final corner to get into pit entry. It flags it as a crash for some reason.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on his speed right now, and it's telling me that he exited the pit lane and then crashed. But he's certainly still shifting that car right now. Maybe we'll check in very quickly here, see if everything appears to be okay. Not seeing any damage on the car, so that's good news, but we'll certainly keep an eye on it as it develops, as it looks like Javi Sierra has just passed Joseph Kronk, who was potentially in the pits.
Yeah, Kronk came in for his fuel stops. He was working his way through the classic pits to the endurance pits, and man, that's a long pit run for these drivers. But still got a number of cars out on track. Zippy, we've got about half the field that's come through for their service, so we'll start to see more and more now if those early undercutters have had any kind of advantage. We got Ethan Reed in GTP in for his service right now. Morgan Smith will be the last GTP to come in for service. He's now leading the way in the top end of the field.
What I do find quite interesting is I'm just looking at the pit lane times, Rob, and it tells me that Alberto Alvarez was 1 minute 13.5 seconds in the lane, which is slower than a good portion of the GT3s. So I have a feeling something may have indeed happened to Alberto Alvarez on pit exit. I'm not sure yet, but if I have a look, Guillermo Perlet, he was 101.6, Javi Sierra 107.1, Chris Rice under a minute. I'm starting to wonder if something happened to the number 20 Cayenne car shortly after leaving the pit box.
Well, here we go, Zippy. We're going to find out in a matter of moments. So he's leaving his stall now, heading up the pit exit. All clear so far. He's going to merge back in right in the middle of a GT3 battle. Oh, it's all good, Zippy. I'm actually looking on my end here. Looks like just due to the fact that our drivers having to go through both set of pits, Alvarez's pit time was cone to cone time was a 1:18, Ethan Reed 1:09, but Ethan Reed was only 12 seconds in the stall versus Alvarez 20 seconds in the stall. So I think that that might be what we're seeing here as far as the time, Zippy. But all our GT3s as well, cone to cone 107, 113, 105. So a lot of variances in it, but it's definitely a long pit stop here tonight when they've got to drive through both set of pit lanes.
Well, certainly myself, that looked like somebody was just getting that sideways then. Might have just been me. Certainly myself, not known for being the most skilled person when it comes to getting in the pits. Usually they wave a black flag to congratulate me, ladies and gentlemen. They're just so pleased to see me. And it's not to say that my coffee order is ready, but it looks like your Kel Fury's going out with Patrick Rich again as well. You see there, Alberto Alvarez very, very closely followed there by, I have a feeling something may have happened with Kyle Mills.
Yeah, Mills was chasing down Fury. We'll see what happens to the Bald Eagle machine here. Heavy under the braking. Just going to lose the back end. Looks like he's going to keep it off the wall at least, but that's going to drop him back about 6 seconds or so back of Jakob Fury and Patrick Rich.
And you can see his teammate there, Malik Bass, right behind him as we rejoin the battle for the LMP hybrids. A little bit of counter steer there on exit from Ethan Reed, but I do have a feeling if he can stay tucked behind the wing of Alberto Alvarez, he may be able to capitalize on that. Certainly in the box times, Ethan Reed a full 8.4 seconds faster. Not quite sure how he's managed that. Maybe Alberto's taken considerable help, but helping him out more fuel. Certainly we did see Ethan Reed was there hanging out with Morgan Smith at the start of this race. Alberto Alvarez just went forward and did his own thing, but he's going to have to really put the hammer down if he wants to pull away from the 22 car. Don't get me wrong, he is, on paper, he seems to be quicker, like last lap, 6 tenths of a second quicker, but can he maintain that and indeed grow that gap?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm wondering maybe if Alvarez took front tires. I think 8 to 10 seconds is probably about the time frame for front tires on a GTP, so he might be opting for some new rubbers when he was into the pits. But right now, it looks like he's able to start to open up that gap over Ethan Reed, but they're both chasing down Morgan Smith, who's about 50 seconds up ahead, and we just had a look at the pit times, cone to cone. Morgan's going to need to try and open up that gap if he wants to stay ahead of these two. He's going to need at least a minute and 10 or so gap between he and Alvarez, try and come back out in front of them, basing it off of Ethan Reed's pit stop time.
Well, certainly, and I got to say, I'll be impressed if the man's picking up rubbers in the pit stop. Certainly, it's not the strategy that I would do, but fair play if he can multitask, ladies and gentlemen. That was said with complete innocence. Get your mind out of the gutter, Rob. As we see here, your Kel Fury looking to apply some pressure there to the back of the 666 Mustang of Patrick Rich. The WBM guys of Malik Bass and Kyle Mills, they've both been in and out the pits. And it looks like Malik Bass actually just making a pass in the pits there. So we're going to see how this goes out. There goes Kyle Mills. Malik Bass a little bit slower out of the box, so that position retains. But I do have a feeling these guys will indeed try to work together to catch up, albeit quite a long way to go. Everybody ahead of them, though, in the GT3 field yet to make a pit. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. I can tell you that the WBM guy is actually the quickest guy in the pit so far. Malik Bass, only 5.9 seconds in the stall. Very, very short time by the mechanics.
Yeah, if we remember back to the beginning of the season, Zippy, it was Malik Bass and Kyle Mills who always seemed to find each other on track, where they kind of work together, drafting off each other to catch up to the rest of the pack. So they haven't done so much the last few races. Kyle Mills has had a little more pace than Malik Bass has had, but they've linked up again here now. We'll see if Malik's able to close down on Kyle's up ahead, and if the two of them can try and chase down Guillermo Perez and Bernardo Drogmiller up ahead.
Yeah, well, certainly. Drogmiller is actually the hard charger in the field right now, up 7 spots. Fair play to him. Great to see him having a good race. As we see, as we say that appears to be a little bit of damage there. Maybe we'll get another shot of that. Thank you, Ro. Just going around this left-hander. Looks like he did like the caught a little bit of curb, runs wide. You see it bouncing on the curb, and full nose cone into the wall, back end into the wall, and it's fair to say he is going to be feeling that. That Acura now a little bit of recycling involved as he has indeed gone off again. I suspect the damage on that a little bit more potent than first anticipated.
Yeah, it looks like instead of ducking into the pits to use his quick repair, Zippy tried to go around another lap, and we're seeing that probably wasn't the best choice as far as Drogmiller going. It looks like he's trying to nurse that Acura background, but he's got Guillermo Perez going to make his move around. Kyle Mills and Malik Bass will be next up.
Well, certainly, I'm trying to remember now exactly which driver it was had a damaged car and ended up killing Michael Morbedo as Kyle Mills gets incredibly close there. Gets a little bit of a flash from somebody, as somebody's flashing. Certainly, I would be very much of your car's broken, get out of the way. Don't get me wrong, they don't have to concede, but certainly the common sense approach would be to do so. As Malik Bass, despite being his teammate ahead of him, he is not looking to hang around, and it's fair to say I don't blame him. As Jacob Fury still applying pressure to the back of Patrick Rich.
Yeah, this battle's been kind of stagnant since Fury got there. He's caught up to the back of Rich, but unable to make that move around. He's got no pressure anymore from behind on Kyle Mills. We saw Mills lost the back end early on, so it's all focusing out the front windshield for Fury, but not able to find that extra tenth or two to make a move on Patrick Rich. As we mentioned before, if Patrick Rich's position holds off, or his start is found to be clean, move of the race so far, he's up 5 spots into 4th in GT3, 7th overall.
Yeah, certainly with that absolutely giga start from Patrick Rich, but it may all indeed come undone for him because Jacob Fury, despite being very potent at race cars, certainly one of the more aggressive drivers in a good way, ladies and gentlemen. I don't find he just sends the thing. He's probably looking to try and save some fuel behind that Mustang. So having a quick look at Morgan Smith here, goes a little bit wide, able to keep the car in check, and still yet to actually. No, he has indeed made a pit, and he's returned back in 3rd place, about 4.6 seconds behind Ethan Reed.
Yeah, Morgan now becomes the chaser after being the chasee once pit cycles switched around. So we'll see if he's able to find a bit of time to chase down Ethan Reed, as it looks like something else happened between Malik Bass and Kyle Mills.
Yeah, I was just seeing that warning as well. Let's find out what happened as they're heading down into turn 1. It depends on what you want to call it there. Malik goes for the move on the inside. It looked a little bit late. I'm sorry. Kyle Mills doing some donuts. Javi Sierra getting caught up in that as well. The Bold Eagle machine soaring and swooping, and Javi Sierra very much not having much interest in that. Let's take another quick replay if we can on board from Malik, or that'll do even better, a chase cam to see how this move played out. He's fair to say, a long way back. Goes a bit late on the brake, puts it up on the inside, and as much as I like Malik, I think that may be on him. And then a little bit of an unsafe rejoin there from the Bold Eagle machine. So Javi Sierra there, able to survive, but now he is stuck behind Malik Bass with Kyle Mills right behind him.
Yeah, they're going to battle it out, but mentioning battles, Fury got a run up the Kemmel Straight, but was unable to make the move complete. Zippy at the top of the straight. Patrick Rich fighting back to hold on to 4th place. So this battle is still going to continue on. Just ahead of them, Michael Morbedo, who was showing some strong pace early on. I thought maybe he might be able to chase down Daniel Pino and Pedro da Silva up ahead, but he's kind of stagnant here at about 4 seconds back, holding on to the final step on the podium.
Yeah, Morbedo certainly will be glad that he didn't end up anywhere near them, near the damaged car of one of his teammates. As we've seen here, Kyle Mills, that's Morgan Smith going up on the inside. Mills goes a little bit deep, leaves room for his teammate, and we continue.
Yeah, must have been Kyle just must have overslowed, flagged him as a crash again. So I was going to say the night was getting worse for Kyle, but looks like it was just a error in timing and scoring there, throwing out a red flag for him.
Well, certainly, I'm definitely used to getting flags waved at me by the stewards. Usually it's a black one or indeed a meatball. And certainly the on-track meals have not been up to standard. But we see Javi Sierra now. It kind of worked out for him, Malik and Kyle having that incident. And it looked like he was able to emerge from it cleanly. But now it's a Corvette versus Corvette battle. You can see Kyle Mills right behind by about 1.1 seconds indeed. Can Javi Sierra capitalize on this opportunity? You see a little bit of an off-track there as well.
Hold on, Zippy. Kyle Mills now 1.3 seconds back. We saw once he spun with, who was it? Malik Bass and Javi Sierra. Kyle had fallen back to about 3 or 4 seconds back. So he's showing some strong pace here in that bald eagle machine, able to close back up on this battle. So interesting to see once he gets up there, if maybe friends get thrown out the window and papaya rules get out, see what happens between him and Malik Bass. But Javi Sierra in between the WBM sandwich right now.
Yeah, I have a feeling something's happening in the lead battle as well. I've just seen these guys. I have a feeling they're going side by side between Pedro Silva and Daniel Pino. I've just seen them literally neck and neck. Here you go. This is going down into the final chicane with Patrick Rich and Jacob Fury. Fury's on the outside, goes to that wider line. Is the door left open? No, Patrick Rich comes into the pits.
Interesting. So we'll have to see where Patrick Rich cycles through, as I believe that leaves Jacob Fury, Michael Morbetto, Daniel Pino, and Pedro De Silva are only drivers on track in any of the classes. I haven't pit yet, but a little Rubbins racing there from Javi Sierra gives Malik Bass a little shove in the final corner. It's like Bass can have the inside line into turn 1. He'll be able to hold on to that position, but it's going to allow Kyle Mills right back into this battle.
It certainly is. You see Javi Sierra looking to go over and under. But why I was crying out there is Patrick Rich has been given a black flag. I suspect that is a pit lane speeding penalty, a personal speciality of mine. And very much undoing. We'll have to check. Excuse me. We'll have to check the replay to confirm. But a potentially race-ending mistake, as he's currently out on track, still with that black flag. I will check in on his incident points though.
Yeah, I'm showing looks like 11 off tracks right now for Patrick Rich, and then I'm not sure if he's gotten any incident points as far as contact as well as if he's so definitely pushing the envelope on incident points here tonight for Patrick Rich. But our lead battle still going on between De Silva and Pino. Neither one of these drivers have been for their service. Oh, I say that. There comes De Silva in. Pino gonna take over top spot. He'll go around another lap. So see, hopefully he's got enough fuel to make that lap round, as Michael Morbetto, our third place car, gonna come in for service too as well. So Pino, this is where his fuel saving strategy might play out for him. See if he's able to push that extra lap, because he's definitely going to be at the tail end of the window. Jacob Fury, our only other driver that hasn't pit yet, he's going to come through. So Daniel Pino, the only driver to push that extra lap. Hopefully he's got enough fuel to get himself around. He's calculated that he has to go through both pit stalls to get through into his stall. So we'll see how that works out for Pino shortly. But back to the battle between Mills, Sierra, and Malik Bass. It looks like Kyle Mills has gotten around Javi Sierra.
So they're carrying it a little bit wide. Let's take a quick look at the replay. So they've just gone up through, if I'm not mistaken, they've gone up through Rouge.
Correct.
Yep, there we go. As they're heading down into the right hand, you can see there Mills on the outside, now on the inside, and just able to sneak by. Definitely is one of the best passing opportunities in track. You can carry such a huge overspeed. Actually, I can remember one of the first races I was ever broadcasting. There was 2 people fighting ahead of me in GT3s, actually, so back when I could drive a GT3, and they were fighting ahead of me, and I absolutely slingshotted the pair of them while they were fighting, as Jacob Fury also picking up a black flag.
Interesting, Zippy, interesting. The plot thickens here as we've got 4.5, well, just now exactly 4 minutes to go as these drivers cross the line. So that's be 2 more laps, this one plus 1 more. And we'll have to see how that works out. But Daniel Pino, we know he hasn't pit yet. He knows he needs to pit, so he can't try and go the whole race this time without pitting. So I suspect we'll see him in on the last lap. It'll be interesting to see. As I mentioned, he's going to have to go through both pit stalls to get into his pit area. And depending which start-finish line they're using, sometimes I've seen races where they use the endurance start line to start the race, but the finish line is the classic finish line. If that's the case, Daniel Pino would actually cross the line if he waits to the last lap to duck into the pits for fuel, and he wouldn't actually technically complete a fuel stop. So we might have some drama to play out later on.
I mean, there is another avenue we could look at. He may be just trying to skirt the fuel out of pure rebellion just to show off I can fuel save. It's an option. I wouldn't say it's a successful points one, but certainly entertaining for us nonetheless here in the Pit Road Productions booth. As we see, Pino finally brings it into the pits. That Mercedes definitely not having a drinking problem. And it's fair to say, not a fan of German beer myself, so fair play to him. As the battle continues in GT3, Malik Bass, Kyle Mills, and Javi Sierra, Corvette, Mustang, and Corvette. The American trio going hard at it at Spa.
Yeah, that's pretty much all of our American muscle on track in one camera shot there, Zippy, is majority of the rest of the field, albeit other than Patrick Rich, all driving either German machinery or a British car.
Definitely good to see some taste in the GT3 field. Indeed, is that McLaren as your Fury. I'll say he's probably going to be serving that black flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, key thing to remember, you just have to drive through. Do not stop in your box. Certainly, it's taken me a little bit of practice to serve black flags, believe it or not. Certainly in the oval racing side, it's taken a little bit more. Patrick Rich yet to come in for his. He may indeed get a post-race penalty from iRacing itself if he's not careful. But another thing as well, Morgan Smith, 1.3 seconds back from Ethan Reed. He was a little bit closer earlier on. Can he be able to pull a little bit more pace out of that Porsche in the closing stages of this race?
Yeah, Morgan is our Mr. Consistency, Zippy. We bring it up almost every race where he may not have the fastest lap on track, but he puts in lap after lap that is very close, within a couple tenths of each other, and that always seems...
Oh, you had to say it, didn't you?
I apologize, Morgan, for giving you the commentator's curse, but as I was saying, generally lap after lap, he's within a tenth or two of each lap, and that usually works out towards the end of the race where he finds himself battling up at the front of the field. But Ethan Reed having to deal with a little bit of lap traffic up ahead, that's going to cost him a couple tenths. That may allow Morgan Smith to get back into this battle if he can catch the lap car of Frank Manarino in a opportune section.
Well, let's play a little bit experiment here, Rob. Certainly, I do this sometimes, and you know that I do it. But what people will often do if there's a broadcast is they will actually have the broadcast playing while they race. So Morgan, just on the off chance that you're listening, let's see a flash, a little bit of razzle dazzle from those headlights of that Porsche. I'm sure Rob will set up a camera to see it if it is. We'll find out very quickly. Generally, he tends to watch it after. Very much a big fan of Pit Road Productions, and actually now we've got him. We're actually teaching him to be a commentator as well. So fair play to him. You're going to be seeing a bit more of him here on Pit Road Productions. But I think maybe just pure coincidence there, Rob.
Yeah, I guess he's not listening this week, Zippy. We'll have to, as Barney waving the white flag, this will be the last time around for them. Take note, Barney was on the traditional start-finish straight, waving that flag. So our start-finish line was on the front straight here. The start line was on the front straight. Finish line is on the back straight. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully our drivers remember that as the clock ticks away on this one.
Well, I did see Jakob Fury come in to try and serve that pit stop, but he's still showing us a black flag, so I'm not quite sure what's happened there during the pits. As we see Pedro da Silva right behind Daniel Pino, he's about half a second back. Can he take Pino off of this stop spot? Certainly Pedro da Silva, very first race of the season, these two guys just pretty much ran away from it, and they've done a very similar story here, about 3.84 seconds away from Michael Morbetto. But can Pedro da Silva find a bit more pace out of that Ferrari and make it past the AMG machine?
Yeah, the Mercedes definitely known as a real thoroughbred in a straight line, so it'll be interesting to see. The Ferrari used to be one of the quicker straight line cars, but over the last couple of seasons, iRacing's kind of knocked down a peg as we got serpentine action on the Camel straight here. Pedro da Silva not happy with that, giving Pino the razzle-dazzle as they head into the corner at the top of the Camel straight. We'll see if that shook Pino off his strategy here at all, but a couple of drivers, as you mentioned, we've seen battling throughout this season, more so at the top of the season to start off. The first 3 or 4 rounds, Zippy was pretty much between these two each race, but Michael Morbetto just kind of lurking in behind third place, 4 seconds back. If something were to happen between those two drivers, he'd be there ready to pounce. But it looks like Morgan Smith has caught back up to Ethan Reed as these guys are on their final lap. A few more corners to go. Last chance for Morgan Smith to really try and put some pressure ahead, but our leader Alberto Alvarez heading into the final corner here now to finish off this race.
Yeah, certainly a good clean race by Alberto Alvarez. He's been able to keep it out of trouble, pulled away about 7.8 second lead, 7.5 second lead. As you see, Barney actually doing his job today and waving the checker flag. Ethan Reed's going to bring it home in second unless something goes horribly wrong in the next couple of 100 feet. Nope, he's been able to get that done. Morgan Smith having a good race for him. as well. Joseph Kronk already crossed the line as well. As we see Daniel Pino now, Pedro da Silva quite a little bit far back. 1.4 seconds in fact. And I gotta say, Rob, weaving on the straight like that, I believe it's one of those gray areas in iRacing. But myself, I've never thought it was legal.
It's funny you bring that up. I think I remember it. I'm trying to remember which league I read. There was a discussion last week about weaving, and I'm not sure if it was this one that it was illegal. I know one of the leagues we cover, it's actually illegal. They have a rule about it. So it'll be interesting to see if Pedro da Silva says anything about it. But he's going to come home second. Pino will take the win. Morbetto can round out the podium.
As we're going to go and head back to this battle still emerging between Malik Bass, Kyle Mills, and Javi Sierra. Certainly, if you look at this, Malik Bass down one, and yet he has been able to recover further up the field. Yakel Fury was not able to clear that black flag. Not sure what happened there, but you see there, Kyle Mills really starting to give that Eagle machine a bit of a squeeze there. He's got his prey in sight, and is he? Yep, he thought about it, but then thought better of it. Fair play to him. I know I wouldn't have made a send from back there. Closes the door on Javi Sierra, and it looks like it's going to be a 5-6-7, ladies and gentlemen, for Malik Bass, Kyle Mills, and Javi Sierra. Chris Ryder's about 10 seconds back.
Yeah, I suspect if it wasn't his teammate, the Zippy, that Kyle might have thrown it up the inside there. But once he kind of thought better of it at the last time, didn't want to take it to his teammate, Kyle Mills, or sorry, Malik Bass, for something to happen there. Kyle Mills pulled back in and pulled the chutes on it and just focused on keeping Javi Sierra behind them. But Patrick Rich, race that could have went from, well, I guess, disaster from a jump start to potentially having a nailed a perfect start to a black flag to in and out of the pits. He's going to actually finish up right where he qualified, Zippy, in 9th place.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a roller coaster for the 666 Mustang, as it's now telling me that Jacob Fury did manage to clear that black flag on lap 20, so that's good news for him, albeit it pushed him incredibly far back down the standings. Certainly he was looking quite potent earlier on, as we still see Bal Gable bringing it across the line in that number 11 Porsche. Actually, the last car across the line in this race.
Yeah, that's going to make it official, as we were just waiting on Bal Gable to get across the line, Zippy, and I'll have your results here in just a moment.
I can see here Jacob Fury not happy with his result, but here you go for the GTP LMPH. Take your pick, ladies and gentlemen. It's the fast one. Alberto Alvarez there with the top spot. Ethan Reed took second, with Morgan Smith closing out that field in third.
And then over in GT3, as we saw Pino across the line, but potentially a protest there, as Zippy. We'll see if that holds on. But De Silva in second, Morbetto running out the podium, Guillermo Perez in fourth, Malik Bass in fifth, Kyle Mills in sixth, Javi Sierra seventh, Chris Rise in eighth, Patrick Rich ninth, Bal Gable 10th, Kronk, Drogmiller, Manarino, and Fury rounding out the top 14.
Yeah, certainly you can see Jacob Fury not happy with his performance. I'm just seeing the Discord chat now, but definitely a interesting race indeed. I do see we got one driver waiting for an interview. Let's see if we get a couple more. We do try to mix it up actually about who we interview here. We don't want to just do the people who win the races. Certainly that's not what the brief was given to us. So as I actually have a look at this, let's think about who we haven't spoken to really. And certainly I think in Chris Rise, I mean, he keeps talking to us in all these funky languages, and yet we're yet to speak to him in the booth. It'd be nice to have him come in for sure. Who else actually we got on that list there? I know we've spoken to Jacob Fury before. Definitely not the race he was looking for, but even Bal Gable, Joseph Kronk. Yeah. Like, who do you really want to speak to there, Rob?
Well, I'm just looking. We've had a lot of the same usual suspects. Michael Morbetto hasn't talked to us a whole lot, but he's been up toward either championship leader in third place, finishing up in this one. Guillermo Perez, we haven't talked to him. Nice finish for him in fourth. You know, Kyle Mills is always interesting. Malik Bass, we haven't talked to him much, but we've talked to Pino a lot. We've talked to Alberto Alvarez quite a bit, but that Jacob Fury occasionally here and there. But a lot of the other drivers, we haven't seen them in the booth, Zippy.
Actually, Javi Sierra, I don't think we've ever spoke to either as well, come to think of it. I'm just trying to tag him as well. We do want to mix it up, certainly. I do see Jacob Fury and Daniel Pino looking at join the interview, but we've spoke to you guys a few times, but certainly Pino's been in the booth more than once. But I tell you what, let's take in Jacob Fury just a second here. Certainly, Jacob, it would definitely look like you got caught with the black flag there. I'm guessing speeding in the pits may have done it for you.
No, what happened is that so we were using the endurance pits this time around, and I went out of the wrong pit exit.
Oh, interesting indeed.
Grand Prix pit exit. So yeah.
Rob, maybe this is something you can expand on. Certainly, I'm not super familiar with the
Um,
pits, but I just assumed it was speeding. I mean, that's my go-to for pit strategy, ladies and gentlemen. Just get the
yeah,
black flag. Thank you very much.
when you're using the endurance pits, Zippy, that's why I was mentioning you have to go in, drive all the way through the classic pits, then all the way into the endurance pits. So I think what Jakob's saying is he actually ducked out the traditional exit that you would run most of the time in iRacing, and that flagged him for I guess, be improper pit exit.
We'll take a quick look at it if the opportunity shows up. But certainly, the Cup Fury, it looks like you had a little bit of a good battles going on as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so for most of the race, I was battling with Kyle and Patrick. I think near the beginning, Patrick got ahead of me because I got stuck in second gear going on the start-finish straight. I managed to get past him. Then Patrick did a really good job of defending me. I got stuck behind him for ages until we came into the pits, and that kind of happened.
Well, certainly, it can be very challenging indeed as well. But Jakob, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to shout out for today's? Well, it was a good performance, just getting caught a little bit there by the regulations, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out to Patrick. That was some great defense by him. Yeah, I really got stuck behind him.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, a very good battle indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, he ended up finishing P14, but certainly the pace would suggest otherwise. A great qualifying run from Jakob Fury, but we'll see you at the next round. Congratulations for the incredible pace, but sort of commiserations for your for the pit strategy there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, we have
ladies and
here,
gentlemen,
Zippy. I found where the exit was on Jakob here, so we can take a quick look and see. So he's exiting out of the pits, and then watch. He's going to take a back to real time here. He's going to take the left, traditional left, where you normally take through the cones. There's a little separation in the cones there. They drove through, and right there, instead of driving all the way around here, that's where he got flagged for that. So
okay.
Unfortunately.
That makes sense. I've personally never come out of the pits there, so that makes sense. But ladies and gentlemen, we have indeed, or at least Rob's been able to catch up with the 211, 911 of Chris Rice.
Yeah, Chris, well done, up 2 spots from where you started on this one. We always see your comments in the description of the video. It always brings a smile to Zippy trying to figure out what the heck you're saying. But how'd your race go out there for you?
Oh yeah, that's just a little pre-race hype there. Honestly, I just type in a phrase in Google Translate of the country we're in. Nothing bad. Don't worry.
Next week we head to Aragon. You're gonna have to do a little bit of searching there for that one to get ready for Zippy. But how are you feeling about going into that one? It's not an overly well used track on iRacing. So do you have a familiarity with it?
No, yeah, I'll come up with something, but yeah, it'll be my first time there. A lot of these, I'm coming from ACC, so a lot of these tracks are new to me, just coming up as they come week by week. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, it's fun. I don't know. I don't even know the layout, to be honest.
It's I guess you'd call it like a traditional European MotoGP track. I think that's what most of the use is there is a lot of MotoGP cars and so forth. So if you like tracks with the blind corners, elevation changes, you'll like Aragon. But well done, Chris. Anybody you want to shout out here before we let you go?
Just you guys for the production. Envy for putting it on. My team, Jakob and Bell, our teammates, were usually in race chat driving, and we all had a good race until Jakob had that unfortunate incident. I was listening along there, but no, it's a awesome league. Looking forward to next week.
Oh, before we let you go, Chris, we've kind of reviewed this a couple times at the start. We're trying to look and see, and we had actually up on the broadcast a couple times the start zone for this evening. It looked like maybe a couple of drivers jumped there, namely Patrick Rich, Javi Sierra. What were you seeing from your end there? Was there any chat or any talk about it over the radio or comms? Or
it was odd. I mean, yeah, we got the start zone notification from the stewards pre-race, and we're all ready for it, and we all knew about it. And I don't know, from my perspective, it seemed like the GTPs had taken the green a long time ago. And while we were coming up to the green, it seemed like the green lights went off for us. And I think some people started to react to that. And I started to accelerate a little bit, but stayed in line and realized what was happening. But yeah, I think a couple other people got a little overzealous. It was a little chaotic at the start for sure.
Okay, yeah, that's what we were seeing. Yeah, because we were
So I
watching the
think, yeah, just
GTPs.
some
It looked like,
confusion.
yeah, it looked like the GTPs actually waited all the way around to the, I guess it'd be the endurance start finish line. They didn't actually start going until they were around there, and then we clipped back to you guys, and you guys were going on the
So that's
traditional
what,
start finish
so,
straight.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what happened. I think, because there's two different actual start lines, right? So I think people were anticipating starting at the F1 normal straightaway instead of the endurance heading down to Eau Rouge.
That explains it all
So
there, Chris.
I
So
think people thought that the GTPs took off long ago, and weren't anticipating them to still be waiting heading down to Eau Rouge. Yeah. Oh well.
well, excellent race, Chris. Best of luck next week to you at Aragon. Get some practice in this week, so you're ready to go.
Oh yeah, man. See you guys next week. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Oh, definitely good to see Chris Rice here in the booth, ladies and gentlemen. But I think that's just going to about bring it to an end. Certainly, we'll have a little bit of a quick race review. Interesting race indeed, Rob. Certainly some little bit of heat in the kitchen, you could say. Certainly some things going on behind the scenes. And you got to wonder as well, like, don't get wrong, it's good to have rules in the league, but you almost wonder where, maybe you go, if it gets too much, people, let's be real, people don't read it. They just want to show up and race, and you got to find that happy sweet spot. And I'm wondering, not my department, but I'm wondering if maybe that's got to be something that gets looked at. A few people get confused on the rules, or maybe there needs to be like a race briefing before each one and say, okay, look, guys, you need to acknowledge this, be aware of this, and I mean, we've covered a lot of leagues, and we obviously run in a lot of leagues as well, and it's just the nature of the beast. You start getting people together, start getting people racing, and not everybody's necessarily always on the same level playing field in terms of how form they are on about the how the event's going to run.
Yeah, like pretty much in tune with what you said, Zippy. You need some rules so that there's a set of rules that guys know what to expect and what to drive by, but you don't want to borderline where you starts to get to you have too many rules where you're tripping over yourself to enforce the rules, and it just kind of takes the fun out of it. So we'll see. I think we only really had one race or two where there was an early race incident, and then they brought in the start zones. I haven't really seen much success out of the start zone, as that's pretty much the second week in a row, or actually a third week, I think, in the row where we've had issues with the start zones where cars have went too earlier, not in the right spot. So maybe something that they want to reevaluate going into the rest of the season.
Yeah, myself, I honestly, as soon as the green light goes, I'd just say go. It goes off for everybody. Keep it simple, ladies and gentlemen. King of keeping it simple, because you know what, that's just about all I've got for you. But certainly it's one of those weeks where I do wish I'd been out on the track. Certainly we could have hoodwinked Richard Swindells into driving, but I have a feeling. Hang on, is there a hockey game on tonight, Rob?
No, it's tomorrow night, Zippy. It's tomorrow night.
Okay,
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to watch this man cry live on stream, just put on the Leafs game. I have a feeling that may indeed happen. Certainly, how many years has it been, Rob?
We gotta go, Zippy. Bye, everybody.
Yeah. You can tell, ladies and gentlemen, there's definitely a little bit of tenderness there from Rob the Goatee Campbell. But I think that's just about going to wrap it up from us here on Pit Road Productions. Certainly, it's been a very fun, very enjoyable evening here at Spa for the Envy Simsports International Sports Car Challenge, sponsored by WBM Racing. Again, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out their merch. I think I put a link for it in the YouTube video as well. Definitely check out that gear. And, WBM is recruiting as well. But in terms of recruitment, it's more of a family deal. If you fit in, you can go in. If you don't, you won't. That's, I think, the best way of putting it. Certainly, I do not speak on the behalf of the team there, but I'm part of it, ladies and gentlemen, and let's be real, I can't drive anywhere near as well as these guys. I'm there purely for the spice factor, but that just about brings it to a close here. And come to think of it, Rob, we can be back on Saturday for the Almeida Academy.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one, Zippy. I believe they're doing jumpy trucks at, I want to say, Summit Point. So it'll be interesting to see. We got some high-skilled, highly trained drivers that are going to take one of the worst vehicles to drive on iRacing to a track they don't belong on. So if you want to watch some carnage unfold Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time, you can see that here on Pit Road Productions.
Certainly, I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be 4 weeks of fun with that, indeed. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week.